What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we've got so much to talk about. We're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. We're talking spoilers. We're going to review it again with a few days' notice. And we are going to talk about all that came down during the Marvel Studios panel last night at San Diego Comic-Con. But before we get into all of that, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I gotta tell you, I'm feeling freaking tastic. Going into the weekend, knowing we're gonna see Deadpool and Wolverine, that was just the beginning of a great weekend because I totally forgot about Hall H and all its announcements when I was thinking about Deadpool. But I'm glad we got some. I'm not as excited about one of them, and I think we'll get into that in a minute, but I think you guys feel the same way. It's just like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it, but I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Are you
But we'll
saying
talk
that
about
announcement that reeks of desperation?
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about. Yep.
The one that you could literally smell through your screen. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I have softened my stance on that a little bit, but we'll get into that later.
Well, and at least we got the Russos. I mean, how many? This will be 6 Avengers movie, not Avengers, but 6 MCU movies that they've
Well, they
done.
did. No, it'll be 6. You're right, because they did Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. Yeah, 6. Wow.
And at first, when I saw the title of that, I was like, Doomsday. What are they going to bring Henry Cavill over and have him do a Doomsday thing? But no, obviously it's for Doctor Doom. Duh. It took like me a day to. Oh, hello. Doomsday. Duh. But anyway, before we get into all that, you know we like to jump ahead here on this channel. Doug, how you doing?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding. Yeah, I am just like you. I was so geeked about Deadpool and Wolverine. I couldn't wait for it. I kept like counting down the days. I had a calendar marker on my phone calendar to remind me and everything. I'm like, I'm watching. I ended up taking time off around the movie just so I can make sure that I had plenty of time to get up to the theater and I wouldn't be disturbed by some nonsense day job thing happening and getting in the way. I wanted to hopefully get the cool popcorn bucket. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, but I was able to sneak a tin in without you guys even noticing.
All right.
And I did
But
like your joke at the start of the movie. Hey, I'm just leaving my house. I'll see you guys soon.
Right. We were
that
looking
was
at
funny.
going like, he took the day off. What the what? Why isn't he?
I'm actually glad that I waited out there for a minute. We had Robbie. If you guys all watched our at the theater review, we had Robbie there from Attack on Show, and he mentioned that he couldn't find the information about which theater the movie was in, and so he didn't know where to go. He thought that he was just gonna. He was like, "So where are we gonna film the intro part of this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we cheat that. Sorry."
We always film the intro before we see the movie.
That's
Yeah, that
right.
should
We
be-
do. We do.
Right.
Do you think they're buying it?
But oh man, that was so amazing. I'm glad that we got to see that. And yeah, I was like, Dave, I forgot about San Diego Comic-Con. It kind of snuck up on me. I totally forgot. And we've got a bunch of announcements. And I'm glad that we're finally getting those again because for a while it seemed like whenever we had these big expo-like events that a lot of the major companies didn't want to get as involved. Like the what was it? The Entertainment Expo, Electronic Entertainment Expo. That used to be a huge convention where a lot of like game companies and other media companies would make all these huge announcements. And then they all started kind of pulling out and doing their own thing. Like I thought for a good while that we just weren't going to be seeing Disney or Marvel or Star Wars updates at Comic-Con because Disney was doing so many of their own things with their D23 event and their Star Wars Day celebration, and then what's the other one they do? Where they have all of their board members in or whatever. What is that called?
It's like the shareholders meeting or
The
something.
shareholders meeting. That's it. I couldn't remember what that was, but they've got like three other major events where they're always constantly, giving up information. And so I was getting worried with that becoming the norm. I'm like, are we just not going to see these major, these major releases, this information coming out of Comic-Con anymore? And I'm glad that we did. I'm glad that, I was able to be surprised. So that was fun. And I can't wait to talk about all of that fun stuff with you gentlemen. And so now that I've rambled on for like 5 minutes straight, Keith, sir, how are you?
Well, thanks everybody for coming out. We appreciate you guys. Oh, sorry. I thought we were out of time there. Gentlemen, I am tremendous. We had a great time. Attack on Show is out in the chat right now with seeing Deadpool and Wolverine on Thursday, and we're going to jump into that in a minute. We got a bunch of announcements from San Diego Comic-Con. All movie-based, though. We'll talk about that when we get there, but it was all movies. So I guess they're saving the kind of D-plus shows for D23 coming up, in August, early August. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, I'm doing tremendous. Another great weekend. Always having fun. Great time at the theater Thursday night. A lot of stuff last night. Some that was pretty cool. Some that I'm not as thrilled about, but we'll get into all that soon. Should we kick off our Deadpool and Wolverine spoiler-filled discussion and review?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Did you say spoiler-filled discussion?
I did. We are talking.
Keith, does that mean that there will be spoilers?
Tons of them. So many.
Tons of spoilers. Would you say that maybe this should be a warning to everybody that we're going to spoil the movie Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah, we probably should warn everybody that there's going to be a lot of spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine. But with the amount of money this movie made, I think everyone has seen it. So I think we're good. But hey,
I would hope so.
We do have Sierra out there in the chat. Sierra, welcome. Nice. Carrie is out there. I know she saw it this weekend. We got Attack on Show. We got Johnny. The Deadpool and Guardians trilogies have the best soundtracks in superhero history. You are absolutely right, sir.
He's absolutely right.
Ooh, absolutely.
An Attack on Show says, is there anything left to spoil? TikTok postings are out of control. That is true.
They are.
And thank you, fellow nerd Doug, for subscribing at Tier 1. You've been subscribed for 25 months. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for all that you do for us. And let's see, Carrie said I had to find a babysitter because I knew I couldn't wait. And you certainly could not take the kids.
Yeah.
It's okay. Take the kids. They'll love it.
Yeah, first 5 minutes, he dropped the F-bomb twice, and there was much gratuitous violence. They said, here, we want to make a rated R movie. You can do this. And he's like, nope, I'm doing it all, baby. And that's what he did.
The fact that he took Logan's bones and was fighting TVA members with them, I was like, okay, yeah, they're definitely...
He's like, go big or go home, right? If I can literally do whatever I want, if Disney has given me free reign, I'm going to open this movie by beating people to death with the bones of Wolverine.
If anyone had any doubts if this was going to be watered down by Disney, I think that was answered pretty quickly in this movie.
Oh yeah, a little bit. It's pretty quick.
They made a statement right away.
I came in thinking, okay, this is going to be a Deadpool movie, and then I'm like, wow. They totally basically took Logan's memory,
corpse,
history, and they pretty much crapped all over it. Which
when he started digging the grave, like I saw the the X logs and everything. I'm like, no, he's not going to. That's not how they bring Wolverine into this. And then when he's like the shovel, I'm like, no, oh my God, that's really for opening this movie. Like, oh God. I like how confident he was, because it's just totally Deadpool. How confident he is to be like, that's not how a healing factor works.
I like how he said, how do we bring Wolverine into this without ruining Logan? Well,
right.
We don't. We ruin Logan.
Okay, Johnny in the chat says Ben Affleck has to return as Daredevil in the Avengers movies. No, he does not. He was the worst Daredevil.
Nope.
I liked the fact that Elektra in this movie was like, when they're like, Daredevil went never came back. Oh, we got to go save him. Nah, we're good. And then let's see,
I
the
wanted to
timing
mention-
couldn't have been better. We're all lucky Marvel is at a low because I'd be curious if they weren't. If he'd been able to do all that he did. Yeah, that's a good point because
Yeah.
they needed this to be a huge hit. And if they were still riding a high in the MCU, would he have been able to get away with all of it? I hope so. Because I think I would hope Kevin Feige would be like, yeah, let's do a Deadpool movie. And that's how it goes. But, you never know. The rot in
Take the L,
pieces.
man.
The rot in pieces 20th century was wild. Legal must have had a time on this one. That was great. Oh, man. And that's the thing. So many jokes were in this movie, just nonstop. It was almost like a Family Guy episode where it was just right after each other. I know I missed a ton of jokes because I was laughing so much. I mean, it was nonstop.
I warned these guys in the theater. I'm like, if you see me just like choking, laughing on my popcorn, that's okay. Let me go. Just let me die happy. So I knew this movie was going to be hilarious. So the trailers that we watched alone, all the previews, all of the guerrilla advertising, even I commented on that during our at the theater review. But like every time you see like a Heineken ad with Deadpool and Wolverine, where he's like, I borrowed some of your adamantium, and then like some of the other stuff out there for just random products that really don't have anything to do with it, and they're just totally adding that Deadpool flair to it, and I love it. There have been a bunch of YouTube videos where both Hugh Jackman and oh my gosh, in character, they're playing Deadpool and Wolverine, actually. Like, they were on Hot Ones, they were on, a couple of other YouTube shows, channels, and everything. And so, like, they're getting the word out there, and they have been pushing this all over the place. If it didn't become the #1 movie after all of that, I would have legit been surprised. But it's been worth it. It's been so good. All of this constant, like, really, really getting in our face with all the Deadpool and Wolverine goodness.
I wanted to share some numbers with you too.
Sure.
7,
Uh,
9,
right
14.
right now it ranks. Now they haven't finished taking in all of the gross numbers from today. Obviously, it's still the weekend. 205 million so far domestically. Worldwide, 440 million. And that ranks as the 8th best opening of all time of any movie.
Oh,
Well
I believe it.
deserved. And Carrie asked, how did they know Marvel's was going to flop so much in advance? I'm sure that came with some of the rewrites they had. Yeah, and Tag on Show said it wasn't written too long ago. Definitely written while Marvel's was descending. Yep. They were still writing a bunch during filming. I remember it being an issue during the writer's strike. Yep. And they did, unlike Deadpool 1, where Fox wasn't going to pay writers to be on set, which Ryan Reynolds then paid them, they did have a full-time writer's room during the filming of this for rewrites and other things. So, yeah. And they did some reshoots later, which definitely could have filmed it in. But, I mean, it wasn't even the Marvels that bombed. Quantum Mania underperformed. I mean, Secret Invasion was just wretched. Then the funny thing is, we heard how bad Echo was supposed to be, supposedly. They cut an episode off of the 6 they usually give us, and it turned out to be, good.
Oh, yeah. It turned out to be a great series. I was kind of surprised because the way that the whole release structure and the way that they were like, okay, we're going to drop it at the end of the year, all at once. And it was like, why are you doing it like this? It was almost like Marvel was telling the world that they didn't have any faith in it the way that they were dropping it. And they should have, because it was good. And it was awesome to see the Kingpin back.
I think that show benefited from dropping all at once. If we had to wait for that from week to week and had the same kind of, what's next kind of thoughts, I think it might have ruined it. If we had them all together, we got to see the whole plan they had for that show.
the way the story was told, yeah, I think I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And let's see.
But
Oh,
something
Attack
like
on Show
WandaVision.
said.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Attack on Show said, let's do Deadpool and Spider-Man next. Now, I really hope the next
That would be
Spider-Man
great.
movie is more Devil's Reign with Daredevil, Kingpin, and all of that. Leading out of Born Again. But yes, we do need a Deadpool and Spider-Man team up. That will be fantastic. And Carrie says, I liked Ant-Man and Echo. I liked Ant-Man Quantumania too. It did just underperform at the box office. While it wasn't, a
yeah.
9 out of 10, it was still above average. I enjoyed it for the most part.
I think now, not in our, not that we would kill it for this reason, but I think that's one of the two things that contributed to the end of King, because that movie kind of didn't do well, and then Jonathan Majors
Legal
did
troubles.
his, yeah, and he did his thing, and that kind of killed the King thing, I think.
See, I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's too bad.
I think it's
fantastic.
one. He's a fantastic actor. Too bad he's such a d-bag in real life. But I think it's more to do with his legal troubles. I think they were still going to move ahead with all the Kang stuff after Quantumania and just rework it and get things going. But with all the legal troubles, they were like, you know what? Let's pivot because obviously things aren't going well. Let's do what we need to do, and we'll definitely talk about their pivot.
I was
when
about
we
to
get
say,
into-
as we'll talk about later, they
Yeah.
certainly did pivot.
And
Yeah,
now,
but I think they need to pivot again.
let's see. Johnny says Amelia Clark's character is the strongest in the MCU. That is true. Still a terrible show.
She is.
I wouldn't mind seeing Black Cat in a Spider-Man movie. Yeah, I'm all for it. They've talked about Sydney Sweeney possibly playing Black Cat. So it sounds like if some of these scoopers are true, are accurate, Black Cat may show up in the next Spider-Man film. I'm all good for that. One of the things I wanted to talk about too with Deadpool, and I forgot to mention it on our At the Theater review with special guest Rob E from Attack on Show, is remember kind of all the stuff leading up to this was everyone thought it was going to be sort of Deadpool kills the Fox universe, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I really liked the way they approached this movie. Kind of hinted at with all the cameos in the movie, they weren't just people popping up and saying, "Hey, remember me?" They were integral to the plot.
They contributed.
Yeah, the fact that we got Blade, we got Elektra, we got X-23 from Wolverine, we got Gambit, who was never in another movie, but he had signed up to play Gambit, and it wasn't just them showing up. They were in the void, standing up to Cassandra Nova, and the ones Pyro and Sabretooth and all the ones who were working for, they were all part of the story, and I thought that was a better way to handle it than just taking the Deadpool kills the Fox universe because, haha, they got bought, so let's, do what the comic did. It was better seeing them take aspects from the Loki show with the Void and, things getting destroyed there and all the Fox properties were kind of there. It was such a better way to handle it, and having Cassandra Nova be a power there and, Deadpool needing to recruit some of those Fox heroes to help him. I like the way they went with this. That was a much better way to tell the story than Deadpool just, going through killing them all. But I would have enjoyed seeing him kill Ben Affleck. That would have been all right.
I like what Attack on Show said in the chat. It says it was a beautiful send off. Reynolds' recent message was really cool to Fox. I agree. I think it was. I really liked the way that they first brought in a lot of these characters. To me, it was a bit of a love letter to them. It was a bit of a, it was a little goofy. And, I remember that some of the characters were a bit goofy. Not all the movies were great when they came out, but they weren't just there to be nothing but cannon fodder. It was almost like they were given like the wrap up that they never got. It finalized them as characters in their universe, in their version of Marvel movies. I like that. I thought that was really nice.
They didn't really get an after credit scene or mid credit scene, but the mid credits was like a send off to Fox.
Yes, it was. I loved that.
I thought that was really a nice touch.
One of the things that I was worried about going into this movie is we knew that the TVA was going to be a huge aspect of this. We saw it in all the trailers. We knew that was what was going to kind of be the thing that Deadpool was fighting against. The fact that he was going to gets sent to the void. And one of the things that I was unsure about when we saw those was, where does this take place? I remember that we've had this conversation a couple of times with different movies and TV shows, and it's not always clear. Like, I don't know if you two remember this, but when we first saw the trailers for Shang-Chi, the rumors that were going around was that that was going to take place before the blip, or like during the blip, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember we had like this huge discussion: how is this going to work? Where does this fit into the timeline? And when they were, showing the TVA, my first thought was, okay, so where does this take place? Is it before the first season of Loki? Is it in between the first and second seasons? But no, I like what they did. This takes place right like at the end, after Loki season 2, after the TVA has its new mission, and what they're doing. And the I don't know, I guess bad guy is the right word. I was going to say, like, I guess the primary antagonist, his main mission seems to be going rogue. He wants to go back to doing things the way the old TVA operated. And you can see when we see some of the other characters that we saw from Loki season 2, the new person in charge of the TVA, I like that they're basically saying, this is unauthorized. What do you think you're doing? This isn't what we do anymore. And I like that. I like that, A, they're keeping it current with the current timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, whatever we're going with here.
Take the L.
I like that we don't... I like that we don't have to try and figure out like where this fits in with everything else.
It was well done. They did a really good job sort of weaving this story, and it, I think everyone out there who said, "Oh, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen," we were all pretty wrong. Well, not us. We're always right, but all the theories on what was kind of going to happen were off. And I like it when movies do that. They wrote a good story. It wasn't an overly complex story, but it still fit the bill, and it allowed Ryan Reynolds to do what he does best as Deadpool, and it really brought out a great performance by Hugh Jackman too. I mean, that was taking a terrible the worst Wolverine or whatever, and giving him that hero story was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I know Dave wanted the midget Wolverine to be the main.
I thought that Hugh Jackman might have done the best job there, because he not only did he play Wolverine again, and he played a variant of Wolverine, but you could tell it was a different Wolverine than the one he had played in the other movies. He was just a little, he was more sad. He was a sadder guy. Not that he wasn't as mad, he was a sad guy. You know what I mean? There was just that slight difference with him, but he pulled it off because, I guess, because he's Hugh Jackman. And, Wolverine, I mean, Deadpool was just Deadpool. He's always Deadpool. So I think when Hugh Jackman did that little variant, I mean, I don't even think he made a joke in the movie. Some things he said were funny, but, in the Wolverine kind of way. So I don't think he participated in the humor like Cable kind of did in the last movie.
I think most of his humor came with him dealing with the overtopness of Deadpool. I think that's where most of he was like a stand-in for anybody of the audience that would have had to spend any length of time with Deadpool in real life.
And Carrie said, I think you saw Ryan being different with Deadpool and Kindpool. The proposal. Yes.
The proposal, that was hilarious.
We kind of talked about that at the theater review. I think Ryan Reynolds did one of the best acting jobs he's done, because, it wasn't just one-liners and everything else. Not only did he play a couple different Deadpools, including Kindpool, which was great, but he had a little emotional story too, throughout it. And I thought Ryan Reynolds did a wonderful job with it. It was, great acting all around, and so many. Like Matthew McConaughey as Cowboy Pool, Blake Lively as Lady Pool. I don't know if you heard this, but Head Pool, the flying head, was Nathan Fillion.
Of course.
Kid Pool was Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's kid, and Baby Pool was Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's baby.
Nice. That part I didn't know.
I looked it up. I was looking it up because I was curious what they all played, because I couldn't follow along. And, we also had a wonderful cameo. One of my favorite scenes, considering one of my favorite artists and authors in Marvel Comics, John Byrne, when he's like, "Oh, it's the the brown and gray, just like the old John Byrne." That's so. Then you see the Hulk just smash him aside, right as he was giving a Loki type line to him.
Yeah.
Oh my God! All the different variants of Wolverine was perfect, and I like that some people are referring to the little Wolverine. They're calling him Short King Wolverine.
And the Cavalry.
The Cavalry. That was funny.
That was great. Oh, that was so good.
The one thing
Radcliffe.
I was going to say, I was really hoping Patch was going to be Daniel Radcliffe, and it was not.
Speaking of the Henry Cavill scene, I love that, of course he has to break the fourth wall and make a comment about DC. So thank you for that, Ryan Reynolds. We were all thinking it.
So what has Cavill played? I mean, he's played Superman, he's played Wolverine, he's played
he was he was in The Witcher.
He was the Witcher.
Actually, I don't know what else he's done other than those.
I mean, and he's gonna end up doing James Bond, I think. I mean, that's my opinion, but it seems like really good for the role.
And then Attack on Show makes a good point. Ryan Reynolds' good buddy, Rob, I don't know how to say his last name, from It's Always Sunny, had a cameo, a side little scene, and it got cut.
Oh, that's a shame.
So we'll probably see it in the deleted scenes.
Carrie
said The Witcher is perfection. That is true. Unfortunately, he won't be back because he quit to do Superman, and then obviously with the change at DC Studios, and he was Sherlock Holmes in Enola Holmes, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Oh, and she doesn't want to talk about it.
How about that scene where Wolverine was drinking the Jack Daniels, and then who was it that shot it?
Gambit?
Was it Gambit? Yeah. Gambit smashed it. And the next bottle he picked up was Red Label whiskey. I thought, is that Ryan Reynolds whiskey? What's the name?
Does he have a whiskey? I know he's got his gin. He's got his aviation gin. If he has a whiskey, I didn't know about that.
I don't know if it's whiskey, but it looked like the bottle from Ryan Reynolds' drink, whatever it is. I thought.
If you're talking about the scene where Gambit throws the card, no, I don't think that was his.
Yeah, it was the one he picked up after he busted the first one.
Right, yeah. I think that was a brown liquor that he picked up.
Yeah, it was a whiskey of some type, brown whiskey.
Yeah.
But talking about acting performances, Channing Tatum.
Excellent. Excellent.
We missed something when we missed that movie.
When he started talking, I honestly did not think it was him doing that voice. It was so good of a Cajun accent.
I heard the tone in his voice.
I was like, is that really him? That's phenomenal. And then, of course, the joke that Ryan Reynolds did. Who is your dialect coach? I feel like we're missing some exposition here.
Just can't understand a word he's saying. I loved it.
I think one of the things that makes those little fourth wall breaks like that work is that nobody comments on them.
Right, he makes it. And
Ryan Reynolds just makes his joke, and everybody carries on as if nothing was just said. It's done to perfection. It's an art at this point.
It really is. And Attack on Show said, "I'm glad they didn't make him a joke the whole time either." And his action sequence was fantastic. Oh man, that was so good. It really. I left the theater, and the one thing I'm like, man, I wish we would have got that Gambit movie now. I would never cared.
Yeah.
Like when they announced Channing Tatum as Gambit, I was like, I don't care. If they never make that movie, I'm fine. And when they didn't make it, I didn't care. And then I saw that.
No harm, no foul. Yeah.
Oh man, I wish we would have got that Gambit film.
We missed out. The visual effects were so good. I went back and I watched Origins Wolverine, and saw that Gambit scene. It's bad. There were no effects. He threw a card and that was it. It wasn't. I'm like, wow, we really missed out on not having a legit Gambit movie.
And yes, definitely better than Taylor Kitsch. That was.
Yeah.
He had that nifty cane in that movie, where you can hit things with the cane.
Yeah,
that was also cool. Yes.
Bad Coyote Funky says the Gambit costume looked really good, and the stuntman was amazingly moved. But Channing is too swole. I think he's better as a brawler hero, maybe. But yeah, the suit.
Yeah.
Them taking the chance and making it look like the X-Men animated series sort of suit and the one from the comics was a nice little way to handle that. It looked great.
The line that Deadpool had when he was referencing Logan's suit, it was again spot on when he was like, I'm really liking the nice choice of costume. The classic costume is really working. It's almost like studios are afraid to have fun with it. It's like, come on. Studios, are you paying attention? Like, they're taking so long to get around to it, to get around to showing these superheroes in their more fun costumes. Now, I can understand to an extent. There are some of them where you do need to spruce them up a little bit. You gotta kind of get rid of the dumbness of them, because some of them are kind of dumb. So I can understand to a point. But the ones like, Wolverine's costume, Gambit's costume, just go with it. Do it for us.
They really had nothing to lose, and they went all out.
Yeah.
And I agree with Bad Coyote Funky. He said the costume department snapped on this movie. Everyone was stellar. They were. And even all the different, versions of Wolverine's costume that we saw were great. I mean, they really went all out for this, and I am so glad they did. Everything came into play. The shots they took at Marvel were all good. When we talked about it, kind of during at the theater review too, when he was saying, yeah, the multiverse saga, just take the L on this, move on or whatever. And with the announcements for SDCC, we thought maybe there was going to be a much bigger pivot than we actually got from it. There was a pivot, but not as big as we probably would have liked. But we will definitely talk about that in a little bit.
Well, when we're talking about good acting in this film, can we show some love to Chris Evans?
Yes.
With that kind of mouth?
I definitely thought it was Steve Rogers.
They had me fooled.
Yeah.
They had me fooled, I admit. Did either of you think it was going to be Johnny Storm?
No.
Yes, I did.
I loved it that it was, but I didn't expect it at all.
When I saw him, I'm like, okay, he's going to be Johnny Storm. They're not going to bring him back as Cap yet. And then I was like, oh, maybe they are. And then flame on. I'm like, okay, good.
I truly thought, oh, okay, so there were consequences to Cap time traveling. The TVA got him. Okay, that's what this is. I'm working out something that would make some sort of plausible sense in my mind, to try and understand why Captain America would be here. But yeah, the fact that it's Johnny Storm, even better. And phenomenal acting, because I didn't see it coming. Did not expect that at all.
Carrie said that was awesome. Bad Coyote Funky lost it when he said flame on, and the theater roared.
Yeah.
The theater went nuts a few times when we watched it. The one time that got me, the biggest gotcha for me, like when I saw Chris Evans, I was like, they're buddies, he's been in it and stuff. When Wesley Snipes walked in as Blade, I was shocked, because they did not get along on set of Blade 3. They have talked in the past like how much Wesley Snipes hates Ryan Reynolds. And I mean, kudos for them, because I would have never guessed that in a million years. Bringing him back, of course, I am a little pissed too, because when he said, I'm the only Blade there ever was and ever will be, I was like, man, if that is true, if we don't get Mashallah Ali as Blade at some point, I'm blaming Wesley Snipes. I don't know who else I can blame. It's going to be his fault, and I'm going to be very upset, because we need that Blade movie.
And he even mentioned in the movie how much he hated it.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds was like,
yeah,
you hate me. He's like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think I actually, when he walked out, I was like, whoa. And I never say whoa in the theater. Rarely.
Yeah. When Jennifer Garner came on, I didn't hear any clapping. When Wesley Snipes came on, yeah, we got some claps. When Channing Tatum came out, we even got some more claps. So I kind of feel bad for Jennifer Garner in a way.
I only think that happened. I only think that happened because we had seen Jennifer Garner's arm in a trailer
Mm-hmm.
in the size. So there was a lot of people who were calling that she was going to be in it. But no one, I didn't see anyone saying, well, actually, there were some people who said Channing Tatum might be in it, but I didn't believe them. No one was saying Wesley Snipes was going to be in this movie. How they kept that under wraps was fantastic because it was much like Grogu at the end of the first episode of The Mandalorian. You know, whenever something is that shocking, you know, I always applaud it. And that was great that they got him to come back for this and kept it under wraps like they did.
The first time that I was in a theater that erupted in applause and just woos and everything like that, you two are probably not going to believe this. Revenge of the Sith.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
Which moment? When he rose as Darth Vader?
Yeah. That scene, and also what was the other one? I think it was Yoda with Chewbacca. There was a whole bunch of applause for that one.
On Kashyyyk?
Yeah, when he was on Kashyyyk. But yeah, there was like that was I know I'm gonna date myself. That was the first Star Wars movie that I saw in theaters. I had no interest in seeing The Phantom Menace, and I don't know why I missed Attack of the Clones. I never saw that one in theater. But I saw Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones on video like after they got released. But I made sure that I went to go see Revenge of the Sith in theaters, and that was an event. Not the world's greatest movie, but it was an event because of how like the audience loved it. And then I think the next biggest one that I can think of, Endgame. The way people applauded over the um Cap getting oh my God. Mjolnir, thank you. Wow. My
Yeah,
brain is
that was
broke.
You know what? Tag on Show said, I don't think our crowd is a fair poll. I actually liked that they weren't overly loud because I missed enough jokes laughing. I'm glad I didn't miss stuff too because the crowd were like, oh, yay, someone's on screen. Yay. So they were kind of mild, but I hope it was more because they wanted to see everything and not, you know, because they didn't care.
I think what it is just a theory of mine. I think people are finally starting to get used to going back to the theater again. Like I was mentioning to Rob when we were doing our at the theater review. I was saying that the past couple of movies that we went to go see, and by the way, I forgot that we saw Frozen Empire. I told them the last movies that we saw were Madam Web and oh my gosh, there was another one that I had mentioned. But I forgot about Frozen Empire, and I was like, yeah, and there just weren't that many people in the audience. That's the same that's been, I want to say, like the past 6 or 7 movies that we've went to. There's hardly been anybody there. Guardians, I think, might be an exception, and Spider-Man.
Well, you know the Marvels was packed.
Oh yeah, we could barely get to our seats. We had to talk to so many people, say, "Are you in the right seats?" And
it was so empty. The movie was echoing.
And let's see, Brad Williams says, I never saw Elektra and didn't recognize her. You definitely didn't miss anything. Blade was nuts.
Didn't miss anything.
That was fantastic. Jonathan Smith, AMC to the moon. I'm assuming he's talking about the popcorn buckets. Our good friend Rob over at Attack on Show did get one because he went early in the day to get one of the cool buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Doug did get one of the tins, but man, they sold out quick. I'm hoping they reissue these bad boys. It would be nice. It would be very nice.
So are the fancy popcorn buckets, is that like a newer phenomenon? Because like I've only just started, like noticing all of these really fancy buckets that people are trying to collect as like collector items. I'd say over the past maybe 2 or 3 years, I've never noticed this before.
Probably. And Carrie said they were at Phoenix last night. I may have to.
All right.
I'll be right back. I'm going to run over to Phoenix.
Let me see if I have it around here. Oh yeah, hold on.
Uh-oh.
So the only like major collector popcorn bucket that I spent any money on is this guy.
Oh, that's nice.
Hmm. Lights up. It's kind of cool. Doesn't hold much popcorn, but
How
it was
much was
cool
that?
nonetheless. But yeah, like I'm just noticing a lot of this stuff that I haven't seen really advertised before.
I think that was Frozen. Hey, Doug, was that from Frozen Empire that you got that, or was that from?
Yes.
Yep, Frozen Empire. Bad Catty Funky. Fancy buckets aren't a new thing. They're trending now because they've gotten more creative. That is cool. Two
Okay.
things really
I
grind my gears: people being on their phones talking too much, and people bringing their kids to R-rated movies.
bring your kids to Deadpool and Wolverine. They're gonna love it.
Yeah, don't do that.
Do it. Not your status quo approved.
As I
For all
told my
kids.
brother today when he said, "Are you taking Sully to see it?" I said he would
Yes.
love it, but I would be in so much trouble when he keeps repeating the Johnny Storm's little diatribe about Cassandra Nova from the post-credit scene. Where did he learn all those words? I have no idea. I think you taught him.
When
Your mom.
when I was
taught
in
him.
the first grade, my parents let me watch Terminator 2. And I thought for like show and tell that morning or whatever, I don't know if it was show and tell, it might have just been like, what did you do over the weekend? I decided to describe the entire plot of Terminator 2 in front of the rest of my first grade class. So my parents got called in.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's just entertainment.
And then he opened up the rose box and there was a shotgun and then he blasted. Okay, Douglas, I think you need to sit down.
No, wait. I'm getting to the best part. Unknown to you at the time, that was not your status quo's first movie breakdown. Thank you, Douglas. And then we broke it down again for our Timeline to Judgment Day series for that wonderful film, Terminator Dark Fate, that we all.
What?
Best movie ever.
What was that? What are you talking about?
It was the number one Terminator movie that ever existed. Second only to Terminator 3.
Oh, that was an excellent.
It grossed more than Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm pretty sure.
The funny thing, speaking of gross, this movie, how much it's grossed, it has already surpassed the Marvel's worldwide box office in 3 days.
Yes.
Nice.
Which, I'm not here to bash the Marvels. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen, but it certainly could have been better.
It had issues that really could have used like a once-over. Maybe somebody should have said, oh, maybe let's not have the weird, pointless singing planet.
Or let's not have so many flirting.
Yeah, maybe not so many flirking. Maybe, what would have done it even better is if they would have had maybe an in-between show or movie. Something to take place between Captain Marvel and the Marvels. Something that would have maybe filled in the gap so we wouldn't have been so thrown off by, the just tiny little genocide.
But we don't want to get into back to their editing room with the Marvels, but we could.
No, not
At least
yet.
not right now.
But
Yeah,
eventually
could
we
make
probably
that
should.
into a good movie. We could.
There's a lot we could be doing for Back to the Editing Room. We're going to have to work on that.
Bad Coyote Funky. Wild that the Marvels had the same storyline as Spaceball. No comment.
But I mean, overall, the Deadpool plot had everything we wanted it to have. Great acting. Jokes landed
comedy.
for the most part. Yeah, great comedy. Action sequences that were phenomenal. And very R-rated. I really did not, once again, I did not expect, well, when Disney said we're going to make this R-rated, I was still like, they're not really going to go all out. And they definitely let them go all out in this. There was a lot of gory sort of violence and everything else, and it made the movie exactly, it made the movie what it needed to be. and that's why it's doing so well.
Do you want to build a snowman? Kevin Feige said anything but cocaine, so we can't do cocaine.
I like it too. Do you want to build a snowman? Of course I do, but we can't.
Yeah.
I loved how many names they had for it. Like I didn't realize there were so many different ways that you could reference cocaine.
Yeah. Anything with white in it, I guess. Or powder.
And Brad Williams asked us, how about
barely
Dr. Doom? And Brad, we will get there. We're going to be talking
We'll talk about that.
all the announcements
we're
at
getting
San
there,
Diego
baby.
Comic-Con in a little bit. Dave suddenly left. I guess he's upset about...
He's running off to Comic-Con right now.
he wants the Comic-Con bucket. But I'm trying to think, we talked about the TVA, and I really liked how this movie, bringing in Hunter B-15 from the Loki show, to kind of, oh my God, what was the TVA's guy's name now? Paradox.
His name was
Paradox.
Paradox, yes.
You know,
I was going to say,
kinda
I know it was a time-related name.
Yeah, to kind of show up, bring it all into thing, find out that, Deadpool and Wolverine kind of save the day, and him working with Cassandra Nova within the Void. I mean, once again, not an overly convoluted, complex plot, but man, did it allow these characters to shine and these actors shine. I mean, I think Attack on Show said it's the most fun he's had in theaters in a very long time. And I agree. I was thinking about that. I can't remember. I've seen a lot of movies I've liked over the last, 5-6 years. Can't think of one I enjoyed more than this. Spider-Man No Way Home might be there. Endgame, Infinity War. I dug all those movies. A lot of movies I really enjoyed. But this was just, laughing constantly. I don't even think I laughed this much at the first Deadpool.
I don't. I think the one thing that stands out in my mind, something that I cracked up about, was the Zamboni scene in the first Deadpool movie. That had me laughing because that was so over the top ridiculous. But yeah, I don't think I laughed as much in that one. It was still great. It was a phenomenal movie, but this one had me going nonstop. And it as you and Dave both said, it was perfect at balancing those heartfelt moments with the laughter. I think that's what really did this, some favor. It gave us a little bit of break in between, the nonstop jokes to focus on the story with both Deadpool and Wolverine. But I think the best part was Wolverine's story. And this is something that I need Hollywood producers and directors, I need them to take note of this, because we've talked about this in a couple of other movies recently, and that is redemption stories. So one of the things that really grinds my gears, I hate this so much, when movies try to give a redemption scene or a redemption arc to characters that haven't earned it, that don't deserve it. I always hate that. I've never understood why sometimes they do that. But this felt deserved. It felt earned, because when we had Logan breaking down exactly what happened and how he felt that he was at fault, just mostly because he wasn't there. That was like the first part of it. And we found out he wasn't there when the humans came in, when they attacked, and so he felt guilty. But then when he goes on to elaborate further that, in a fit of rage, he went out and he just started killing. He went on a killing spree. And it's like, oh, okay. But here's the thing. That I understand. So you two remember when we were watching X-Men 97, and I made the very controversial opinion, Magneto was right.
That wasn't overly controversial.
Well, other people on the internet disagreed.
Well, people on the internet say a lot of crazy things.
So I understand where Wolverine is coming from. His, like this huge attack on mutant kind, the slaughtering of his family, I understand. Although we didn't see it, the description, like I felt that, having him like break down, and he did it while talking to Cassandra Nova. And I think that was like the hardest thing. She was basically invading his memories, and he had to remember this.
It's funny because Jonathan Smith said he liked everything but the fingers. And just so you know, in the Grant Morrison run of X-Men, when Cassandra Nova was first introduced, she did that in the comics, and it looked weird in the comics. And we have a In Focus short on Cassandra Nova where I have the comic panel playing. It was weird in the comics, and it was even weirder that they did it in this movie. When they did it, I was like, okay, I get it. You know, they did that in the comic books, but that was a weird scene, and it's like kind of like
Attack on
she
show.
didn't even
wash her hand.
Oh, and
Did you already read what Bad Code Funky said?
no, I was just about to.
Okay.
Mr. Paradox was the only miss for me. His exposition dump at the end took me out. Explaining what needs to be done in order to finish this movie was kind of lame. See, I kind of like, I thought without introducing, he said I would have instead introduced another Omega level mutant like Jean, in which Deadpool and Wolverine assist her in taking down Cassandra directly instead of this indirect way. See, I didn't mind that because I think having another Omega level mutant like a Jean or a Magneto or something along those lines to help them would have kind of hurt the overall storytelling. Now, while I wasn't a huge fan of any time we get an exposition dump by someone just talking what happened, I thought it was kind of funny that Mr. Paradox was doing it to kind of explain how they have to finish the movie, which is him almost Deadpooling in a Deadpool movie.
Right.
So, I mean, I get why it took you out, but for me, I was kind of like, okay, they're being silly here again.
I'm kind of thankful for it because, and this is probably mostly because of the song and the way that they used it, but the Like a Prayer moment, that was one of the best scenes in this movie to me. Just watching Wade, who is just a prankster throughout this whole movie, reaching out and trying to be the hero and, attempting to save the day, and then Logan finally coming up and assisting him, and just that like operatic, they had the choir singing Like a Prayer, and them, saving the day, pulling those wires out of the Time Ripper. God, that scene was perfect. It was so good. I loved it.
And then it being
It was
silly.
like the end of the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it did have a good Guardian. Oh yeah, Guardians vibe for sure. For sure. By the way, I am very upset at Madonna, and I want her to know this. Because we all know that Madonna is a longtime fan of Not Your Status Quo. She watches all of our streams. I'm very disappointed in the fact that I went to go look up the soundtrack for Deadpool and Wolverine, and that's the only song not on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now,
Didn't give her permission, huh?
Attack on Show makes a good point. It was kind of funny, like Naked Gun 2. Just unplug the bomb. Yeah. Definitely. And yes, Carrie, the soundtrack was perfect.
Yeah.
I think it was someone said earlier too that this and the Guardians have perfect soundtracks. 100%
Yeah.
true. Let's see. Ryan said when he went to see Madonna to get permission to use the song, she actually gave them notes on how it possibly could be used, and he said it helped create a pivotal moment in the movie. Wow, good for her. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't see the Good Morning America interview. So that's pretty cool. Once again, that's
Attack on Show. Well, Attack on Show says Jackman's abs, and it's just like
Yeah.
because I heard beforehand that like one of the reasons he wanted to stop doing Wolverine is because he had to stay in such phenomenal shape to play Wolverine, and then they have him in this movie and he's wearing the outfit, so you think, all right, you're not going to see that. But when that comes off and you see how still in shape he still is, I don't know if it's digital, but he's still in shape, and he's like what mine and Keith's age. Like, well, I don't know how old we are, but we're old, and he's about our age. So to stay in that shape is just amazing.
And,
I remember Dave Bautista said the same thing about playing Drax. He said that was one of the reasons why he didn't want to play that character anymore, is because of how in shape he had to constantly stay to play that role.
Have you seen, not to pivot here, or not to tangent here, but Dave Bautista has lost a bunch of weight, and people were asking if he was sick and stuff, and he said no.
Oh.
He goes, I wanted to be taken seriously as an actor, so I lost this weight because it'll open up more roles for me. And I was like, oh wow, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wonder how he looks now.
And yes, Hugh Jackman is 55. Just for those of you playing the home game, I'm 53, so I'm almost as old as him.
Hey, we weren't telling people that.
Not nearly as in shape as.
But you have abs like him, right?
Not on my body,
Yeah,
but And yes, the jokes about him playing, now that Disney has him playing Wolverine till he's 90.
Till he's 90.
Even Kevin Feige said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna, we'll eventually cast a new Wolverine." But the way he said "eventually," I'm like, "Oh man, we're gonna see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in 5 or 6 movies now," and I'm all for it.
No, they're not gonna.
That would be awesome.
It will not let him go. But the thing is, I think as long as he's given, a good take on his role, as long as they're treating the character with some respect and it's a good story, and it's not like X-Men Origins or The Wolverine, both had serious issues. But as long as they take it serious and it's good directing, good writing, I think he'll come back and he'll keep playing the character.
Yep. And Bad County Funky is right. I mean, Hugh really acted the crap out of this role. I think Doug was saying earlier how this was a different Wolverine and how well he played it. It might have been Dave. I don't remember who said it. But yeah, he was phenomenal. Freaking Ryan Reynolds was great. Really, everyone was great. And Attack on Show makes a good point. After this success and the fact that him and Ryan are really friends, they'll do another one together.
Yeah.
100%. Or
that
should I
line
say
towards
absolutely?
the end.
Oh, absolutely.
That line towards the end when Deadpool looks at him and he goes, all right, well, I'll be seeing you around. And he goes, I don't think so. Playing it till you're 90.
If they would have let that be his last line, I would have believed it, but it wasn't his last line in the movie. So.
Well, I think we have a very good chance of seeing both Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in Secret Wars.
I think so too.
So yeah, it definitely will not be the last time we see. And according to some, he's already signed a multi-picture deal, so it'll be interesting.
Oh, Hugh Jackman has?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he can't play him in his 60s, I wouldn't think. You got to get that ball rolling.
Well,
No, he can keep playing it. He can keep doing it.
Yeah, now that he's got he won't have to show his abs again. He can just wear the costume. And I mean, I think I really think, and we'll get into this more, I think that at the end of Secret Wars, it's going to basically create kind of a new universe out of all the universes coming together. And we'll get the new Wolverine after that. But Hugh Jackman will play it till then. And that way they can switch out some actors, stuff like that. But once again, we'll talk about it when we talk about the San Diego Comic-Con stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, outside of that post-credits.
How much more do we have?
Well, neither of you mentioned Dogpool.
Yeah. I mean, he was just there for cuteness. I mean, wasn't he? Did he play
He was there for comedic effect. I mean, that tongue.
That disgusting tongue.
It looked like a piece of bacon. I mean.
It was so gross.
Okay.
To me, that wasn't the best part of the movie.
Carrie, calling Hugh Jackman the Tom Brady of Marvel offends me. He is the Jordan Love of Marvel.
Whoa.
The highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, but he does have more credentials than Jordan Love does.
A little bit. A few more Super Bowl wins, a few. What is your standout scene in the movie? Honestly, the car scene.
When they're fighting in the woods in the car?
Yeah. And just kind of what leads up to it.
And was that when Wolverine got on all fours and started running at Deadpool? Mm-hmm. When did that happen? I noticed
he did that several times in this movie, and it wasn't bad. And any time he did it, I wasn't like, well, that's overkill. Every time he did it, I was like, this is going to be cool.
Oh, yeah. All the fight choreography in this movie was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, even when they fought the Deadpool corpse. And that's core, for those of you who don't know. I always call it corpse as a joke. It sounds weird saying Deadpool corpse now before that, but
does,
they get
yeah.
through them all, and they turn
Especially-
around and they're all kind of standing back up, and they're like, "Oh, great! They all have a healing factor."
Yeah. Except
Oh,
for
you know,
except for,
another favorite scene. Going back talking about an ice pool. I love how. Also, when does your regenerative power take effect? You guys can regenerate?
yeah.
Oh no!
And I like just the sheer weirdness of it when they're sitting there and he goes, "Gubernatorial."
Yeah. You say one more word. Gubernatorial.
Oh, Attack on Show's right. Kicking up the magazines and reloading his pistols with no hands was awesome.
Oh,
yes.
that
was
was
very cool.
was awesome. My standout scene, like I said earlier, was the Like a Prayer ripping the cables out of the Time Ripper thing. That was my favorite scene. I mean, it normally I get annoyed at because of Zack Snyder, I get annoyed at a lot of slow-mo scenes, but this was done so perfectly. And maybe the music, like I said, he had a huge factor in it, but I loved every second of it. It was probably my favorite scene.
Definitely an excellent scene. And you're right. It did slow mo the right way.
Mhm.
Not just to have slow mo for 90% of your movie.
Because slow-mo is awesome, dude.
Totally.
Oh, you know what joke they missed out on? Speaking of gratuitous slow-mo, they missed out on Deadpool trying to put a CG baby into a microwave to initiate time travel. Well, I saw it in another movie. This isn't how it works.
No, it is. And I
They
think
had baby Deadpool right there. They could have done it.
Well, and we definitely want your ratings in the chat also. Should we give our
Yes,
ratings? We gave
yes.
our instant after the movie ratings, but we're going to re-rate it because that's what we do here. And always it is on the Doug scale, with 5 being average, 10 being a masterpiece, 11 being super phenomenal, beyond, and Carrie said 11 out of 10, not November 10th.
That's funny. That's what Robbie gave it.
And that is
That's
what
what Robbie gave it. Me, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay with the 9.5 I gave it. I mean, it's just, don't get me wrong, it's a phenomenal movie. I just can't give it a 10 because it's not Endgame. That's all. Definitely the best movie since Spider-Man. No Way Home.
And see, I'm definitely going to prop mine up to about a 9.8257 because this really was an almost flawless night at the movies. Was it perfect? No, but man, it was fun. Everything they did had me laughing a lot, totally immersed in the action sequences. All of the costumes were good. I mean, they really went out of their way to make this great in every area of the movie. They didn't chintz on anything. I mean, the acting, the comedy, the music, the costumes, the choreography, everything was, it's hard to complain. It's hard to find anything to complain about at this movie. And that's why I'm going to give it a 9.8757.
Excellent. Yeah, like Dave, I'm gonna stick with my 9.5 out of 10. It was such a good movie. I very rarely hand out 10s. I mean, it's got to really, really blow me away. And just out of I don't know, I guess to keep the scale honest, I usually would never go beyond 10. But yeah, I can probably count on one hand how many shows or movies that I've actually given a 10 out of 10 to. This is close. Don't get me wrong, it's very close. It was a really, really good movie, but I mean, yeah, like Dave, I think there are some other movies out there that might be even better, but this was so good. Please go see it. Take your friends, take your family, take all of your kids. 5 and under is even better. Just, take everybody go see this movie. It was so, so good. Probably the best Deadpool movie I've seen so far too. And weird I didn't realize how many people didn't like the second one as much. I love that movie. I think it's great, and this one's even better.
Yeah, I didn't like the second one too much. I mean, I liked it, but it wasn't as good as the first. And definitely nowhere close to this. And let's see, Rob still says still an 11. Totally understandable. Carrie says, it's my litmus test for people. If you don't get the jokes, Gen Z leaving the theater, we're so confused. You're too young, or if you think it's too gory, you have no sense of humor. And I know not to waste my time. Yeah. You know, some people do get a little uppity about silly things like that.
Yeah.
Not me. And just as a note, Sully, if you're out there watching this, what Doug just said about taking anyone
Go
over 5,
see it.
Nope, you're gonna have to wait, Soul Man.
I'll tell you what. We'll see Sonic 3 when it comes out December instead. Okay, we're good.
Sully, do crimes. Keith's like, okay, we need to fire Doug.
All right, so any more people want to give us their reviews? Bad Coyote Funky, we haven't seen yours. We had an actual baby in my second viewing. That is...
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. I cannot
Okay,
imagine.
Whoa,
no, don't do that,
actual
people.
baby?
Come on.
Whoa. Well, the baby's not gonna get it, but still.
Do what Carrie said. She said she actually got a babysitter because she wanted to see the movie. I mean, come on, just find somebody. Please find a way. I want you to go see this movie. Please find somebody to watch your kids.
Yep. And how did I miss a Sonic 3 this year? Yes, December. Sonic 3 with Shadow the Hedgehog. We're aptly anticipating this movie coming out in this household. All right, Bad Coyote Funky. As a fan movie, 10 out of 10. It was a brilliant and passionate movie created by fans for fans. As a movie, 7 out of 10. The exposition dumps took me out of it, and the villain was weak, in my opinion, but I did have a lot of fun. Excellent.
I get
review.
that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, we were talking about how simple the plot is and stuff. When you look at it, like, good movies, they don't need to have a complicated plot. Look at the first Deadpool. Barely anything at all going on there. They just took their time telling that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look back, really, if you look at Star Wars: A New Hope, that was a pretty basic plot. You know, that was a great movie. So you don't always have to have a complicated plot to have a good movie.
I mean, Guardians Volume 3.
I guess A New Hope was kind of a save the princess, storm the castle kind of thing.
Good luck storming the castle. All right, but let's move on because, fellow nerds, this weekend was San Diego Comic-Con. And while DC Studios wasn't present, I don't think Sony was present. There was some comic book news. We don't always talk about the physical medium of comic books on here, but there was a lot of cool stuff coming out. But what we did get was Marvel Studios Hall H presentation last night at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we got a few things out of it. We did get talk about Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four First Steps, talk about the new Avengers titles, well, one new title, Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, but they didn't talk about, which I think they're going to save for D23 coming up, I believe August 9th, the weekend of August 9th, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off. But, you know, we'll probably hear about, of course, Wonder Man, which we're all anticipating is our highest ranked thing coming out. One of my favorite superheroes. We didn't get any Daredevil Born Again, nothing on Agatha, you know, nothing on Armor Wars, which is supposed to be, you know, coming out, nothing on Spider-Man Freshman Year, or What If, or Marvel Zombies. So I think a lot of that stuff is being saved for D23. But what we did get was some Captain America Brave New World stuff, and I have some notes here.
Okay.
So the first thing, you know, adamantium was mentioned in the clip they showed. Harrison Ford is talking about Tiamat, the celestial from the Eternals. So everyone's saying there's this giant sticking out of the ocean that they haven't talked about. They're getting to it. So finally getting to it. Harrison
It's
Ford's...
about time. The Eternals movie was not great, but you can't wreak, you know, havoc on Earth in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and then never bring it up again. Like, not to, you know, actually, a comic book movie, but that should have caused a lot more chaos and mayhem. A giant literally coming out of the Earth, cracking it open like an egg. Should have done a little bit more. Maybe it should have been brought up in, a sort of, Falcon and the Winter Soldier sort of way. But Okay, at least somebody is mentioning it. Good.
finally. And it is going to play a key role. And I guess in one of the clips, Harrison Ford is saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Adamantium." And it sounds like silliness. But in the clip they showed,
Goody two shoes.
don't drink, don't smoke, what do you do? But in the clip they showed, Harrison Ford, Thunderbolt Ross, turns into the Red Hulk while giving a speech in front of the White House. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yep, you caught me. I'm a hawk.
What's a Red Hulk? And this shocked me. As we know, Harrison Ford is a curmudgeon of sorts.
Yeah.
But this is what he said last night during the thing. "I'm proud to become a member of the Marvel Universe. I've been watching fantastic actors having a good time, and I wanted a piece of that." I was like, wow.
Nice.
And he really did seem like he was having a good time during it. He was, joking around with Anthony Mackie, who was shredding Tom Holland. Because I don't know if you saw at one point. Yeah, Tom Holland had said, he goes, "Oh, that Falcon movie. Oh, wait, you don't have a movie." And Anthony Mackie had said, "Oh, yeah, but you're not 5'11" or whatever." And he was joking last night. He's like, "Hey, Tom Holland, I got my movie. You're still not 5'11". Oh, and Carrie said, "Danny cannot wait for Cap Brave New World." I'm looking forward to it, too. Because one other thing, too,
I remember that interview. It was at a Comic-Con.
Yep.
It was at a Comic-Con, and they said, he said he hadn't seen the Spider-Man movie. And he goes, "Oh, you should watch it with your Falcon." Oh, wait, there's no Falcon movie. That's why they give it to each other so bad.
And another thing everyone had been guessing who Giancarlo Esposito was playing. A lot of people thought Jacob Fury or George Washington Bridge. But we find out he's playing Sidewinder, the leader of the Serpent Society. So while we've heard all these rumors that the Serpent Society was in the first couple cuts of the movie and they're no longer in it, we know at least Sidewinder's in it. So I don't know if that means they're saving the Serpent Society for later, because Giancarlo said his character was getting a Disney Plus show soon after. So I wonder if they're going to announce at D23 a Serpent Society show or Sidewinder. Maybe it's him putting together said Serpent Society. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, because he did say, and it was funny, everyone was like, "Oh, we know who he's playing." He's like, "No one has guessed who I'm playing yet." And I had not seen anyone guess Sidewinder. There was lots of people guessing lots of things.
I would have, honestly, that would have been my last guess if I was to try and go down a list and figure out who he was going to be playing. I figured that was a little too ridiculous of a choice for them to go with, but hey, all right, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, it looks, from the trailers, it looks like they're taking it serious.
Yeah, they're definitely taking it serious, seemingly so far.
It kind of reminds me of the use of the Lizard League in the recent season of Invincible. Yeah,
that's what I thought of too.
Not to tangent, but Invincible season 3, they had a poster for it with his new suit. Not a release date, but it has also been renewed for season 4. So some good Invincible news from Comic-Con.
That's good. Awesome.
But next, they talked about Thunderbolts. They had everybody on stage. I can't think of his name. David Harbour came out in his Red Guardians costume.
Nice.
I was like, "Hey, wait, we talked. I thought we were all dressing up because it's Comic-Con." And, of course, no one else was dressed up. But Julia Louis-Dreyfus on Valentina. She's after power, control, and I would say she wants to kick ass in the Marvel Universe. Hopefully that's a good sign. Wyatt Russell on his U.S. agent. He said, "Everyone's going to freaking love me." I don't know if he was being sarcastic or not. And
I read in an article, did this come out at Comic-Con or is this just a rumor? But I read in an article that Valentina is the one who bought the old Avengers Tower.
Footage from what they showed a scene in Avengers Tower with Val. So it was from the footage shown last night. So that was a very interesting tidbit that was dropped. And Kevin Feige, Dave's buddy, has told us that we were going to find out very soon who bought it. And a lot of people thought it might be Mephisto, which, that character is showing up in Ironheart and possibly Agatha. So it's good to know that we know who finally bought it.
Mm-hmm. I was really holding out, hoping that it was going to be Fisk, but
Me too.
this is fine too.
Yep. Oh, and Johnny asked, what is tougher, adamantium or vibranium? I think they're about equal. Different, things. You think Sharon Carter is going to be in Captain America? I had a theory a while ago that she was going to be the big bad in Armor Wars and Secret Invasion.
You had a theory a while ago that she was a Skrull.
She still might be. But yeah.
She might be.
I hope she shows up because, she's a good character. I want my theory to be right to shut Dave and Doug up. What? Who said something? But, I hope so. She's been in the Captain America movies, so it would be good to see her there. Let's see, what else? Oh, and Thunderbolts, exclamation point, or asterisk, which they didn't say what it was, so I'm assuming we're going to have to wait till the first official trailer to find out what the title actually is being described as being unhinged and gritty. There are bad guys, and there are bad guys, is the tagline for the film.
So was your theory about the asterisk, did you share that on air, or was that like beforehand? Where you said the asterisk might actually mean Baron Zemo.
I don't think I said it on air. I go back and forth on if Baron Zemo is going to show up in this film. Because as much as he was a part of the Thunderbolts in the comics and put them together as this villain team to, this doesn't sound like how they're going for this at all. And with his character being anti-soups, anti-super soldier serum and stuff, I don't know if he'll show up. Maybe he will. Maybe he's going to help them because we know, the Sentry is going to show up. And
since you're right, they are going a different route, but wasn't the original point of the Thunderbolts is that they were bad guys in disguise, not to, kind of like rip off Transformers, but wasn't that essentially it? They were like, pretending to be superheroes, and then they unmasked, and it was, oh no, they're actually.
Well, what happened was it was post-Onslaught when the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and like X-Men were all missing. And they came, Zemo had a plan. We're going to dress up as good guys, pretend to be the heroes, but we're eventually going to take over the world. And they didn't unmask as bad guys. They eventually kind of got found out. But a lot of the guys who joined, like Goliath, who was Atlas, Songbird, who I can't remember, they all kind of were like, we like being heroes now. And they kind of turned on Zemo at the last minute. So, it was a great comic. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, this is just a team that, Val's putting together for whatever purposes. I suppose we'll find out when it comes out. But still.
We're going to make a Suicide Squad of sorts. Or no.
We can't use humans
That's
anymore.
another.
But next, we got the Fantastic Four, First Steps. A little change in the title. It's no longer just Fantastic Four or The Fantastic Four. First
I thought
Steps.
that this was just that short that was going to be coming out.
No, they said the title of the movies is First Steps.
Oh, okay. Then I misunderstood. Because I know they're going to be releasing a short that's supposed to kind of like catch people up as far as like what's going on before the movie releases too.
And they kind of showed a little clip last night, and Matt Shankman had called it a retro future film.
Yes.
Explains
and
it'll look
looked
forward
good.
and back. Yeah, and it did look pretty cool. And it's coming.
I like the fact that they had like the flying car come out and everything.
The Jetsons. I mean, well,
It does feel
their
kind of like
last
that. It's got
movie
that kind of
they
vibe.
The last movie they jumped forward and back with wasn't very good. And I say that about the Eternals. When I know they had 7,000 years to cover, and this will probably cover maybe 40, but still, if they handle it like the first season of Arrow, it'll be great.
Yeah. And Bad Catty Funky saw a screen recording looked good. Is that for the Fantastic Four, the little clip? Because I did see that, and it did look very good. I hadn't seen one for the Thunderbolts clip that was shown yet. And I don't know if anyone recorded it or the Brave New World. But what was that? Oh, the sizzle reel showed the footage of Reed hosting a 60s Mr. Wizard kids show, lecturing about parallel dimensions. And then kind of what I shared with you guys on Twitter today, the eyes of Galactus lean into the window of the Baxter building. Sorry, Doug.
Yep.
He's not a cloud.
I'm very disappointed in Marvel. I mean, what's scarier than a giant cloud? I mean, think about Galactus from Fantastic Four 2. Big space cloud, super scary. Think about Parallax from Green Lantern. Big giant space cloud, super scary stuff, guys. Come on, let's go.
Alien. Think about Alien from Deadpool and Loki.
Big old cloud, scary. Eats timelines. Come on, guys.
That's
Marvel.
Why
let's go.
They couldn't have two different purple clouds. It would confuse people. And plus, people are still having nightmares about Cloud Galactus, Cloud Parallax, and the Cloud from Star Trek 1, which puts me to sleep every time I watch that
Forgot
movie.
about that.
Beeger.
But yeah, it sounds like Fantastic Four. It's coming out in less than a year, July 25th, 2025, right around the time Superman comes out, which is kind of cool. We're going to be eating well, hopefully, at that time. And they start filming next week.
Cannot wait to see more Pedro Pascal. I'm really looking forward to it. And I think he's going to do good. I wasn't fully on board at first, but I really, I thought about it, and I think he's going to do the role pretty darn good, especially with the kind of vibe that it's given off, this whole like retro-futuristic sort of thing. I think it's going to be good. I am looking forward to it.
I hope so, because they have not had good success with the Fantastic Four in movies. In Tundra Walker, if you're out there and you bring up that dancing in the wedding scene again from The Rise of the Silver Surfer, we're blocking you.
Jessica Alba, a gift to the world.
Are Galactus and Doctor Doom the only Fantastic Four villains? We don't know that. A lot of people, like John Malkovich has been cast in the movie. Some people think he's playing Puppet Master or Mole Man. There's rumors that the movie's going to start out with them fighting Mole Man, like the very first Fantastic Four comic. So we may get multiple villains just in smaller roles, like seeing kind of them dealing with certain things here and there. But the only confirmed villains are Galactus and Doctor Doom.
Not Diesel Weasel?
Not Diesel Weasel this time. They're saving them for Fantastic Four 2. Second steps. That's definitely coming second steps. And Kingpin. I wish Kingpin would be great in a Fantastic Four movie.
Well, since that's the next Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah.
It's funny you said who's really reigning supreme. I really hope that Daredevil Born Again and the next Spider-Man film are kind of Devil's Reign from the comic book, which is when Kingpin became mayor of New York and basically outlawed heroes and had his own group of villains like Scorpion and Venom and a few others kind of being his deputies to kind of bring it all in. If they could make that into live action here between Born Again and Spider-Man 4, I would be a very happy nerd.
No one has mentioned, and I know, my buddy Beige doesn't like to leave open-ended loops. So, what are they gonna do with the symbiote from Spider-Man? From Spider-Man.
From Far From Home that got left back? They'll do something with it. I'm sure it'll pop up one way or another. It may be a point where, Spider-Man's being overwhelmed, and he has to use the power of the symbiote to kind of save himself. And that's how it gets attached to him before he's able to push it off of him. Just as we've said many times, please do not rush him getting the costume and getting it off and having Venom appear. Take your time with it. Doesn't need to be rushed.
It'd be great if when it attached itself to Peter Parker, it still had Tom Hardy's voice.
Oh, that would be hilarious. That would be funny. Tom Hardy does the voice for the same. Oh, Dave, once again,
Yeah.
you should be writing for Marvel Studios. That would be fantastic.
We're never wrong here. We know that would work.
Yeah, people would love it. That would be fantastic. And then, next, we found out that the Russo brothers were directing the next two movies, with the Avengers 5 being renamed Avengers Doomsday, where Doctor Doom is going to be the main villain. We are assuming, and I think rightfully so, that Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom is going to show up in the Fantastic Four. And we know that the Fantastic Four's movie is in another universe. It's not in the 616. It's a lot like where Beast was at the end of Marvel's. Separate universe, part of the MCU basically, but not the 616 in it. So it's going to be a separate universe, which, I think most of us weren't all that excited to hear about Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom.
Yeah, that was the one thing that came out that I'm a little disappointed in. It just seems like we said earlier, it seems like a desperate move because everybody came to see him in the first three phases. He was the glue holding it together, and now just to do it again. I know
You're right, Dave. It
two.
feels like a discussion that they were, having at some, board meeting or writers retreat or something like that, where you had like a bunch of Marvel producers, directors, executives sitting around like, okay, numbers at the theaters have not been good. Sales have been great on, like DVD and Blu-ray. We're not getting as many views on these most recent movies. And it reminds me of the Simpsons scene where, Principal Skinner is sitting there wondering, is it something I'm doing? No, it's the kids. The kids are at fault. And I imagine this is like Marvel's reasoning, like, is it the recent movies we've been putting out? No, it's because we don't have Robert Downey Jr. That must be it. And it's like, I cannot guarantee, obviously, we cannot guarantee with 100% certainty that this is why they've decided to bring back Robert Downey Jr., but it feels like a very corporate move. Like, okay, people recognize his face. We need something repeatable. You hear that a lot with a lot of movies and TV shows, and unfortunately some YouTube videos. We need something that is going to give us the same sort of vibes, feelings. It's going to get us and see it again. And what is that one constant that always did that before? Robert Downey Jr. Was it because he performed so well as Iron Man? No, clearly that's not it. It's the actor himself, and we're going to make him Dr. Doom. And it's like, well, that's a choice.
It really, when announcing the Russo brothers are back and Robert Downey Jr. as Doom, it felt like they were like, listen, we got to go back to where we were. We don't. Do
you remember Berries?
Now,
well,
I've softened a little bit because I thought a few things.
Okay.
One, I do think this is going to be the Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Four universe, and he will not be Doctor Doom post Secret Wars. Hopefully, they get Cillian Murphy or somebody. They definitely can get someone else. And I think Robert Downey Jr. is a good enough actor to pull off Doctor Doom.
Sure.
As long as he does not play him as a Stark variant and he's just Iron Man in, just not Iron Man in Doctor Doom's armor.
Yeah, I really hope that's not the case.
Oh, and let's see. Bad County Funky. Hot take, the Russos and RDJ coming back doesn't excite me. Russos famously said they don't know how to write powerful characters, i.e. Vision and Wanda and Civil War not doing much. And Tony Stark died, even if it is a variant. It's sullies the introduction of Doom. He needs to have been an actor like Cillian Murphy. Yeah, I don't disagree. Oh, and Tack on Show, my comments aren't sending.
Oh, okay, well, they got sent now.
Yeah, I think the Russo brothers are a great thing. I think they really show they know how to handle multiple characters and give them all meaningful and not equal, but meaningful screen time for each one. They know what they're doing. I think they know what they're doing with that. That doesn't bother me. That's pretty good. It's like hiring Tony Gilroy to do more Star Wars projects. When you get someone good, you keep them. And so they've done a phenomenal. Their track record is amazing. So I don't have a problem with that. I do
Kind of
have
like
a problem with.
with
Oh, go
James
ahead.
Gunn in the Guardians movies. They shouldn't have, let him go to at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and RDJ coming back. That See, everyone's gonna remember him as Iron
Yep.
Man. If he even plays it at all like Iron Man, it's just gonna cheapen it for me anyway. So I know he's got a wide range,
Yeah.
but I think his time in the MCU was done. I really think they should have went with somebody else.
Yep. And it's funny because
Now,
that seems to be, Attack on Show. I got a bad feeling about this. So many great actors that could fill the roles, 100%. Bad County Funky, I love their movies. They were the best of the MCU, but let new blood carry the torch moving forward. Like Tony Gilroy cooked with Andor. They didn't go back to ex-director and writer for that one. Once again, Cillian Murphy, that seems to be coming up. I really thought he was the best person to cast as Doctor Doom. And we still may get him post-Secret Wars, but I think we're all in agreement here. Like when they announced Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, I'm like, no, I love RDJ. Now, once again, I've softened it a bit, and I do hope this is just he's that universe's one. He does a great job because he has the acting chops to be able to do it. I still think it's a bad choice, but he could probably do it. And I was thinking it would almost be kind of cool if at the end of Secret Wars, it kind of reboots the universe, and it's Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom doing it because he kind of started the MCU with Iron Man, and then he would be the one sort of destroying it at the end. So it's almost a bookcase. Still, I'm fishing for stuff to kind of make positives here.
Make it make sense.
Yeah.
Now, you told Dave and I yesterday, in Slack, you thought it might be a variant of Stark who happens to become Doom.
I don't think that anymore because they did
don't?
call him Victor Von Doom.
Which, oh, I hate that so much. Like, I do want Victor Von Doom. I want that version of Doom in the MCU, but he's such an amazing character in the comics that has grown over the years and has so much nuance around him. Like, he's another one of those where, like, sometimes he's just a mustache twirling bad guy, but other times it's like you get where he's coming from, and it's like, okay, yeah, he's kind of cool. And it's like, so I do want like the actual Victor Von Doom in the MCU, but having RDJ play him is such a weird choice. Like, I think your original idea, what you told us in Slack, I think that would have made more sense if they were going to go that route.
Yeah. No. And they still may. Calling him Victor Von Doom may have just been a slip of the tongue, possibly.
Either
calling
that, or
him
maybe so people would understand or whatever, like the non-comic book readers.
Yeah. Oh, and we all love RDJ, great actor, but this reads like a safe bet, 100%.
Yeah,
From the
yeah.
executives trying to get
It
the MCU
really
back.
does.
Feels like Disney got together when Iger came back and said, "Oh man, these guys did so much good for us. Let's bring them back." And I'm like you. And Carrie said, "Oh, but I really like that, Keith. Thank you. Appreciate that, Carrie." And it's confusing because on stage at SDCC, the Russo said Victor Von Doom and multiverse in the same sentence of his intro. Yep.
Yeah.
But that would also suck if he's a variant. Then we don't get the real Doctor Doom, at least till later, possibly.
Yeah,
Which-
that's what I am hoping, that we do get the real Doctor Doom. Now, I've brought this up a couple of times. We mention every now and again that Keith, Dave, and we have these discussions in our, in our Slack group, and that's something that we have set up for our channel, helps keep us organized and everything. But last time we did a stream, I asked everyone. We didn't really get any response, but we didn't have that many people in the chat. We've got a good bunch of you in the chat tonight. So let us know, type in the chat, comment, whatever. If you want us to set up a Discord, let us know. If you want to actually take part in these conversations with us, if there's enough pull for it, if there's enough of you asking for it, we'll do it. We'll set one up. But, that's only if you guys want to actually converse with us outside of a video setting.
And it'll be free to the first 50 people joining. No, I don't know. Kidding. Kidding.
And then
But
$50 each.
here's another. I thought of another positive. I was seriously like racking my brain last night. I could not sleep last night. May have been the green tea I had at like 9 o'clock that the caffeine kept me up. But I was trying to think of positives. So, maybe RDJ is only going to be Doom, up until Secret Wars, and it destroys it. We get the new universe that's created at the ending of Battle World. But what if part of him playing Doom means we also get the AI version of Tony Stark in Ironheart? Because for those of you who read the comics, after Tony died many times in the comics, his AI was helping Ironheart, Riri Williams.
Yep.
So maybe, since we haven't heard anything about Ironheart, even though it was done filming like 2.5 years ago, maybe they're going to make some changes, and Tony Stark, RDJ said, I'll do Tony Stark in this, and I'll be doing Doom too. So once again, maybe a little positive.
It is funny that you mentioned that, because I was talking to some friends about the reveal, the Robert Downey Jr. reveal, and before I had mentioned that he was going to be playing Doom, that was the first thing they guessed. I said, so you'll never believe who showed up at Comic-Con. It was Robert Downey Jr. Oh, cool. Are they getting him to like do a hologram, or is he where he's gonna like help out the Avengers? Is he gonna be like an AI assistant, sort of like the new Jarvis or something? I'm like, no, and that would have made so much more sense.
That would have been the better route to go. But I do see.
It's pretty bad that like other people came up with that thought as well. It's like,
once again, it sounds like a Disney executives come out.
yeah.
Who you guys were talking to? Who? Cillian Murphy and Mads Mikkelsen and these people. Let's bring back RDJ. He's a huge moneymaker, and we'll bring the Russo brothers back, because that's when we were at our height. Which they may do a good job. I hope they do a good job. I don't want to sound like I'm bashing it. I just think it's an odd choice, and I think they could have done better. But I think this is going to be almost like, oh my God, I can't remember the actress's name, from Ozark, who's playing the Shia LaBeouf version of Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four. I don't think this is going to be the Doom in the 616. This is the Doom from that universe. Just like, it's like, oh my God, I wish I could remember her name, because she's fantastic. She was great in Ozark. She's playing the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie, not Nolan Rad, but Shia LaBeouf. So I don't think she's going to continue as a Silver Surfer once, post Secret Wars and all the things are brought back together. And I think they're going to do that with Robert Downey Jr. too. That's at least my thought. And I do think with the title of Doomsday, and we know what we know so far kind of coming up. We know that Galactus and Doctor Doom are kind of the villains of the Fantastic Four. We know that obviously Doom is going to be the villain of Doomsday. And I do think that we are going to see Doom figure out how to steal Galactus's power. Probably in Doomsday. He's going to familiarize himself with Galactus in the Fantastic Four movie. He's going to figure out a way to steal that power cosmic in Doomsday. And it's almost going to be, once again, it's going to be a lot like Infinity War. At the end of Infinity War, the heroes lose and they're all kind of going away until we get to the next movie. I think the end of Doomsday is going to be him creating Battle World and sending everybody there from all the different universes to kind of fight and do all these things. And then obviously Secret War, Kang, if he gets recast, maybe he'll kind of play the Molecule Man sort of character from it. Julia Garner. Thank you, Bad Catty Funky. For those of you who are unfamiliar with her in Ozark, she was great.
Now, what are the chances, Keith, of us getting a quote-unquote, obviously CG, live-action portrayal of the Beyonder?
I don't think we'll see him. I do think we're going to have God Supreme Doom as kind of the Beyonder role in Secret Wars. He's going to be the one who uses Galactus's power to create Battle World, and then he's going to be the Beyonder character for this. But I may be wrong, because we know in the first Secret Wars, the one that came out in like 84, while on Battle World, Doom finds out how to steal Galactus's power when Galactus basically starts to eat his ship to get power, and Doom steals that power. Then he fights the Beyonder and beats the Beyonder and takes all his power. But I don't think they're going to get that deep in this movie. I think they're just going to make him God Emperor Doom with Galactus's power over Secret Wars.
Well, okay. Sure. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think the weirdness of Secret Wars, that's what I love so much about that story. I've told you guys this before, and I mentioned this on the stream. It's probably one of my favorite comic book stories. I love Secret Wars. It's it's just so out there. It's so strange. And normally I don't like the, you know, all of this was a dream or none of this really matters kind of thing. And that's essentially at the end of the day, it's basically what Secret Wars kind of like boils down to. It was kind of like it took place on Battle World. It was like a test to see who would win, villains versus heroes and everything, but it was done so well.
And let me just say, if you're unfamiliar with the story, we do have back issue breakdowns for all
That's
12
right, we
issues
do.
of Secret Wars on our channel. Go to our shorts. We even have a playlist with all 12 episodes, all 12 shorts, one for each issue. It's phenomenal. Whoever did it did a great job and truly just understands the essence of that comics. I don't know who did it, but but go check it out. It's good. Oh, thanks, Bad Coyote Funky. He's gonna check it out. Yeah, it's a little one of our little shorts. We do back issue breakdowns. We've done Secret Wars, All Star Superman, Secret Invasion before that show came out.
He likes doing the little shorts.
I do like doing shorts. They're fun. Good
He
times.
likes little shorts.
Now,
let's not
we
get into my
made sure
fetishes
that-
here.
We made sure that he doesn't wear the little shorts he wants to wear when he's doing the shorts. But
I will
he
never
wants
wear
to-
John
no,
Stockton shorts. No, this is when
Never
I
allow it.
when I went into boot camp for the Marines.
Hmm.
The shorts I was issued.
PT shorts.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Oh,
The
they haven't
phrase-
changed those, have
the-
they?
I don't know, but the phrase "nut huggers" is what they were called. Terrible. I will never.
Basically, you know,
They were basically John Stockton. His shorts from the '80s.
They were still wearing them when I was in the army, whenever I would see them, doing laps on the field, because I was at a base that had all four branches. They had Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy. The Navy, they were doing like 16 costume changes throughout the day, but in the morning when we were doing PT, we'd see the Marines out there, and they were still wearing the same shorts. So then I would almost, in standard reason, they probably haven't changed. They're the Marines.
Oh, and Bad Coyote Funky said cool edits. That's cool. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, sir. They're fun to make because I do love reading comics. I actually I was thinking about my daughter did a TikTok of her time elapsed sleeping. So I
Okay.
was going to do one. I wasn't going to post it anywhere, but I set up the time elapse and then I was reading comics on my iPad. And then of course I went to bed, but it was so dark you couldn't see anything. But I was like, oh man, maybe I should post that time elapse video of me reading comics. And I'm looked at it. I'm like, no one needs to see me. I am to put it mildly. As when I was in college, I dated a photographer, and their phrase "you're not very photogenic" is just a nice way to say you're ugly. So I don't. The less they see of my face, I think the better. But
I thought you were going to tell us that you were going to do a time elapse of, like watching Morbius or something and how quickly you fall asleep.
now
But
that
Keith,
would
you didn't factor in that back then you didn't have the goatee.
Oh, that's true. Thank you, Dave. That's a good point.
You
And
do
that
pull off a
changed
good
everything.
It looks good on you.
Well, thank you.
I'm another one of the, like, do you guys even remember, because it was so long ago, do you remember what I looked like without facial hair?
Yeah, I do, because you looked like you were like 10 years old.
Yeah, not great.
You've shaved like twice since you shaved it off all the way twice since I've known you, so I've seen you.
Yeah.
Look like just a little brand new
Little
spanking
baby boy, a little teeny little baby boy.
And now, the last bit of news. I saved this for the last. Not because it's the best news, but it all comes back full circle to what Wesley Snipes said during Deadpool and
Oh.
Wolverine. Blade has officially been delayed.
Oh no.
Don't say it like that, Doug, because I hope, because the first, the first Blade movie, Blade 2, were good. Borderline
The
great.
first Blade movie, Blade 2.
No, the first Blade and Blade 2.
Oh.
Sorry. Which,
You know,
the
I
shocking
did like Blade 3.
Oh my God, wasn't
did
it Blade
like it.
Trinity? I
Yes.
did.
Blade Trinity was terrible.
Maybe I'll watch it again.
What was her name?
Jessica
Justin
Biel.
Timberlake's Jessica Biel. Yeah,
Electro, yeah.
I think they did a great job.
Well, we can agree to disagree on that one, but maybe I'll watch it. I've been planning on rewatching all the Blade movies at some point. I haven't gotten around to it, but I can't.
Oh my gosh.
It's been like 5 years since they announced Mashallah Ali was going to be playing Blade.
Yeah.
And we have nothing. How hard is it to write a movie about a dude killing vampires?
Apparently very hard. Look,
I guess.
Keith, think about it like this, okay? It's a lot on their shoulders. If you remember, Blade in the comics, they invented the idea of vampires, okay? So if it hadn't been for the original Blade comic book series, we wouldn't have Twilight, we wouldn't have Morbius, all right, all those things wouldn't exist. We wouldn't have Dracula. So like, it's a lot to live up to. They've got, all this stress. They wrote the first movie and they're ready to run until they realized, oh, the script is terrible. Nobody's going to buy, that there's a half vampire guy out there hunting other vampires. And then it's, they end up having to rewrite the whole thing, as far as I know. And then it got delayed by the writer's strike. As far as I know, they're still in the, script writing phase.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think the problem is, and I don't know how true this is, but the rumor I heard is that they really were worried that a lot of people were going to be confused when they called him a daywalker and he wasn't a ginger. So they got to get through that part of the script, and then, everything's going to be good.
Goddamn Keith.
Sorry. I can't help myself. Well, I think that's everything. That's all my notes. I don't know.
No, those were all the major Marvel reveals. I don't think there's I don't know if there was really anything left out.
Nope, we gotta wait a couple of weeks for some more news, but we'll be on top of that for you.
God, I'm really hoping, we find out. We heard nothing about Armor Wars. We heard nothing about Wonder Man. No Daredevil. No new Kang actor.
It is disappointing that all of these companies don't want to take part in these multi-company events anymore. Like I said in the beginning, it's a shame that we don't have, Triple E anymore, that we don't have these huge conventions and expos where everybody comes together to kind of, because to me, it's almost like competition. And that's what I used to love about these. Whenever they'd be like, yeah, you like what these guys are doing? Well, look what we're doing. And it made the event and it made the announcements more cool to have to find out, okay, well, that's what DC said, but what's Marvel got under there? But what sort of massive presentation are they going to drop on us? And they had to one up each other. They had to have these huge, announcements to try and outdo each other. And now that they're all doing their own things and their own drops and their own conventions, it's not as exciting anymore.
Yeah.
But it really seems to
Kinda
me
cheapens
like
it.
the way they did it, all they talked about was movies. They're saving shows. We're going to get Eyes of Wakanda, Spider-Man, or it's not Spider-Man freshman year anymore. It's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So we'll get
Which
Eyes of
I'm not
Wakanda.
excited about it. After seeing the animation style, I'm not excited about it.
We'll probably hear about What If Season 3, the Marvel Zombies show, Wonder Man, Ironheart, Agatha, Daredevil Born Again.
Watch, they're just going to announce that Wonder Man's been delayed.
Oh my God, you better stop it.
Oh boy.
I honestly thought we were going to get footage of Wonder Man and Daredevil Born Again at SDCC. So I'm hoping that we get it at D23. It's so fun. I'm such a nerd. I probably should never tell this story, but yesterday I was getting stuff ready, and I have a little YouTube downloader, and I created a little folder for SDCC trailers, and I downloaded the Penguin one, which that trailer was fantastic. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get maybe something from the Thunderbolts, and we'll get Wonder Man and Daredevil, and I'm going to have them all in the same folder so I can get them prepped for OBS. And then I'm like, getting all the updates. I'm like, they're not talking about any of the shows. They're not releasing any of the footage. And I just...
Well, I mean, we saw the trailer for Creature Commandos, right?
Yeah.
And actually, that raised my hype level. I thought that looked
that looks good.
I love.
I had no expectation going into it.
Viola Davis as, oh my God, what's her name? I can't think of her name.
Waller.
Yeah, Amanda Waller is great, and just how she's like,
oh
yeah, and it totally fitting with the end of Peacemaker season 1. We can't use human prisoners anymore, but these aren't human. I was like, thank you, James Gunn. He's awesome. And then we saw the Penguin trailer, which I was doing some research because I like to do research. This show is based off of the script from the first Batman movie. There was written in there the rise of the Penguin, basically, and they decided it was too much for one movie, so they were going to make it part of Batman, the second Batman movie. And then they said, you know what? This would be better as like a show, a limited series. We can do it like that. And so they did it that way. But it was originally part of the first Batman movie script. It was going to be moved to 2 and then just made a show. So
I'm kind of glad that they did cut that out, because I think it would have been too much. That movie was already long as is.
Yeah.
Adding an entire origin story for the Penguin in there too. I am glad they made it its own thing.
Yeah, they made the right decision. They definitely did. But I know...
I'm glad it's a limited series. They're not going to come back with like a season 2. They're just going to tell the story they need to tell.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah. And it is coming out the day after the premiere of Agatha All Along. So we're gonna be busy, boys. Dave will just want to talk about Agatha the whole time. And Doug will be singing all the songs.
I love me a musical.
God, I hope it isn't a musical. Oh, this is funny. I didn't know this was a while ago. But Johnny, if you're still out there on YouTube, he said only a matter of time before Chris Evans is cast as Onslaught.
Right. Might as well. Shoot, you know what? Bring Josh Brolin back. Right. He can be a live-action Mr. Sinister. Let's do it.
No, he's got to be a good guy because he was a bad guy last time.
Oh, fair. Yeah, okay. All right. He's a new Wonder Man.
He can still be Cable.
Oh, yeah, he could be Cable. That's true.
He hasn't had much.
Excellent point. Well, we should probably find someone to raid. Once again, thanks everybody for coming out. Tons of chat tonight. We loved it. A lot of good things to talk about. A great movie. All that info we got from SDCC.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate y'all. We will be back on Thursday to talk House of the Dragon. Good night, Miss Carrie. Yes, and there's definitely some fun stuff ahead. We'll be talking House of the Dragon, episode 7 on Thursday. All that good stuff. And we are going to raid somebody on Twitch. If you're watching us on YouTube, that's basically a thing you do on Twitch. Take all of your viewers, send them to somebody else, someone you enjoy, and hopefully it builds everybody's followers and subscribers up.
By the way, if you guys in the chat, if you ever have a recommendation of someone that you'd like to see us raid, feel free to let us know too.
Yes, please do. Please do. We're always open to finding new people. And we do have Bubble
Thank
again.
you, Brad, for saying we had a great show.
God, I feel like we shouldn't raid Bubble because her view count right now is 666. I'd hate to break that.
Oh, good point. Let's see, we got Miss Cabine, Flake of Wrath. I would say Star Wars lore guy, but he started doing that Hakatua and all of his things. Ugh. So, yeah, we're going to stay away from him. Maybe we'll do Flake of Wrath.
All right.
It's been a while since we raided. Unfortunately, TG is not on tonight because he's at an anime. He's somewhere. He's at an anime convention.
I thought he was at TwitchCon.
Oh, is it TwitchCon?
I thought that's where he was at.
I thought it says TwitchCon's in San Diego. He went to San Diego?
Well, I know he was getting on a plane. He shared a couple of pictures on X.
Now, this is intended for mature audiences, so if you're on Twitch, please make sure you're mature enough to watch it. And for those of you on YouTube, thanks for coming out. Once again, we'll be live streaming Thursday night for House of the Dragon. But check out our shorts, check out our other videos, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Like this video, comment, do all the good YouTube stuff, and we'll see you all next time.
Hey, fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this.
Oh,
Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.